Battlefield 5 is a game that managed to get pretty polarizing, to say the least. From the very start, the game was covered in controversies of various kinds. The very first one, the reveal event itself. Hosted by one of the greatest gaming experts. We can see his gaming credentials at work right here. As of late, EA is embracing some of the headwind they were facing in the very beginning to distract us and the media from any other problems the fans are criticizing now, by presenting themselves as some kind of martyr for a bigger cause. See the whole everyone's Battlefield launch party. Today we want to point out an aspect of the game that is being overlooked by many: the recycling of props, textures and weapons from previous games. Now let me say that recycling assets from other games of yours is nothing bad in itself. Most companies do so. The most prominent example for this channel would be Counter-Strike. In fact, one of the very first videos on this channel dealt with the recycled Left 4 Dead map geometry in CSGO. So yeah, recycling is normal and fine, but sometimes it becomes too much. Or when you charge an enormous amount of money for a product that is partially just a remix of old content. Have you noticed that a lot of the particle effects for explosions and sparks are the same across all the recent Frostbite engine games? Battlefront, Battlefield and Need for Speed all share the same explosions. But what when the recycling goes further? Reusing world props and textures? Well, okay, I didn't even notice this bridge until it was pointed out to me. And reusing entire buildings? The Rotterdam map, known from the beta, is a pretty crass example of copy and paste. During the beta I noticed that all the corner shops are empty and identical. I chalked it up to it being a beta. I was certain some furniture will follow, but we didn't notice any change. What we did however notice is that this building has been copied from Battlefield 1. Let us compare. Looks remarkably similar, doesn't it? Of course, some things have been added here and there, but it's the same basic layout and the same map props. Moving over to some gadgets, Battlefield 5 reuses a lot of the guns and close combat weapons from the previous game. That is fine, historically speaking. A lot of World War I equipment ended up in use during World War II. However, it does feel somewhat lazy when a lot of the models, sounds and animations in the game are simply reused, even if somewhat upgraded. The metal, for example, indeed looks better in Battlefield 5. Yet more original content would have been nice. And in cases where original content was created, it is sometimes being slightly modified and introduced twice to disguise the actually empty weapon inventory. When we consider that the game at launch only featured 2 playable factions and only a handful of appropriate guns for them, then it is really disappointing to see that a good chunk of them was simply carried over from the last game. British and German troops all using the same guns. The starting assault rifle being an especially odd choice, as it was a last-ditch rifle produced for a paramilitary organization, not the regular army. Looking at these recycled assets begs the question why it was necessary to recycle so much content and why the game was released in such an incomplete status. How much fun the game might actually be is not the question here, because I frankly think the core gameplay experience is quite nice in regards to the multiplayer. Yet the amount of content delivered is abysmal. Missing features, game modes and a small map pool. One of my theories why that is the possibility that huge elements of DICE's development apparatus were tied down by the failed launch of Battlefront 2. As the game had to be massively altered shortly after it came out due to an incredible community backlash, something that EA is all too familiar with now. As Battlefield 5 got released in an unfinished state, just like a few previous DICE games, the recycling of game assets from their previous games is no huge issue that plagues the game. There are far bigger ones. Reuse as much as you want, as long as you deliver a finished and play-tested product next time. Looking at pre-release footage of the game, it becomes obvious most things that are being presented to us as new content just developed for us is stuff that has already been completed. One other possible reason for why the game is lacking in content at launch is that it has been taken out again. Since they told us that they won't go and sell us season passes and premium, the launch content has to be stretched out. Since developing new maps, vehicles and game modes is not too profitable now. A lot of possible future content can already be seen in the single player. Hey, a Sherman tank! I wonder if that will be released soon. And same goes for the beards. I think they will come soon as well. Hopefully also for the ladies. The game's missing features dribble in slowly. Just recently, the ability to take cover as a tank's top gunner was added, and just as this update came out, I thought I discovered something new that would be amazing. I played a scope G43, and all of a sudden I aimed through the iron sights underneath the scope. That came in super handy since I was in a close combat situation. But just as I thought I accidentally discovered a new feature, I realized switching from the scope to the iron sights was just a bug. Something that appears willingly at random times. Misaligned sights are especially prevalent in the single player. But the game's plethora of bugs and unpolished features are not today's topic. Until they will be covered, I'll go on skiing on concrete floor. Why, Dice? Why can't you ski in multiplayer? That would be an awesome movement mechanic. This is actually fun. It is fun to ski around in this game. Why did you have to point me to this? This is better than the actual game. Ah, put in the fun mode. I want fuck Battlefield. I want a skiing game now. I hope you enjoyed today's video and found it to be interesting. Thank you for watching, and thanks to our supporters on Patreon who of course got to see this video first. So, see you guys next time. Till then, have a nice day, and as always, goodbye and guten Tag.